It reads, we, the jury, request David Pecker's testimony regarding the phone conversation with Donald Trump while Pecker was in the investor meeting. They also want Pecker and Cohen's testimony.
Now, what I wouldn't like about this, if I were a defense lawyer, and again, taking all Trey's caution about, not reading too much into this, if I'm a defense lawyer, I want them to focus on the records, because the charges in the indictment are falsification of the business records. If they're looking for Pecker's story, that's the prosecutor's version of events. The prosecutors portrayed this case to the jury as a conspiracy that went back to 2015 to influence the election, and Pecker was a key player in that. It could be that they're refreshing their recollection of the testimony. Could also be that there's some buy-in to the prosecution's theory of the case.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Whenever one of these Fox guests dare offer a dose of sanity or context or even just perspective uncommon to that often perpetuated by the Murdoch manipulation machine, doesn't it always look like the other host is gonna cry?
Microsoft thing, $3 billion, big job creators. That's in Racine. Isn't that the same town that Foxconn said, 5-6 years ago, we're going to build a big plant, and they never did?
Yes, and that was a huge Trump announcement back then, and he said the factory was going to be the 8th wonder of the world, but then Foxconn decided to really scale back their plans, and the land is still available, so Microsoft is going in.
It's going to be good for those people.
All right. Thank you, Peter.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
It's day one of jury deliberations, and after around 4 hours, a panel of 12 New Yorkers tasked with determining whether Trump is guilty of 34 felony charges of falsifying business records related to a hush money payment to an adult film star before the 2016 presidential election. Just in case you forgot, it's not a hush money trial, it's an election interference trial. They returned with a note, which of course sent alarm bells across social media, with many speculating as to what it was in relation to. Now, the note asked for 4 requests, most notably David Pecker's testimony regarding a phone conversation with Donald Trump while Pecker was in the investor meeting, Pecker's testimony about the decision not to finalize and fund the assignment of Karen McDougal's life rights, Pecker's testimony regarding a Trump Tower meeting, and lastly, Michael Cohen's testimony regarding the Trump Tower meeting.
Yeah, this is interesting, and let's get into it. We now have the first clues about what they're discussing, and we want to be as careful as possible. The fact that they're asking about something may or may not be what it looks like at first impression. For example, Katie, a meeting that the prosecution brought up because they say it's bad for Trump. The fact that the jury's discussing it doesn't mean they agree with the prosecution that it's bad for Trump. But these are definitely key questions about reviewing evidence, testimonial or otherwise, regarding the tabloid plot. So we have Mr. Pecker, who of course was the first star witness. He of course ran the Inquirer. I think people remember. He was the AMI chief. The Trump Tower meeting is important to the prosecution's case, and our prosecutors can speak to this as well, because that's where they argue the catch and kill plot was developed. So
now, for those looking at this trial objectively, or sorry, those looking at it not crying in a weird seance-y cult-like way outside, you'd know that asking to hear 4 pieces of testimony regarding a scheme to, quote, catch and kill negative stories about Trump ahead of the 2016 election doesn't exactly bode well for the defense. And one place I most certainly wasn't expecting this point to be relayed was on Fox News. And as a result, I wonder if we'll see this fella on the network again.
Now, what I wouldn't like about this, if I were a defense lawyer, and again, taking all Trey's caution about, not reading too much into this, if I'm a defense lawyer, I want them to focus on the records, because the charges in the indictment are falsification of the business records. If they're looking for Pecker's story, that's the prosecutor's version of events. The prosecutors portrayed this case to the jury as a conspiracy that went back to 2015 to influence the election, and Pecker was a key player in that. So it could be that they're refreshing their recollection of the testimony. It could also be that there's some buy-in to the prosecution's theory of the case. We'll just have to see.
But anyway, why does it matter? Well, jurors requested to hear 4 pieces of testimony from the weeks-long trial, including former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker testifying about a 2015 meeting with Trump and ex-attorney Michael Cohen about killing negative stories about Trump. He also testified that he would be the campaign's, quote, eyes and ears, and would alert Cohen if he heard anything negative about Trump or anything about women selling stories, so that the campaign could ensure that those stories would not be published. And as well as this, they asked to hear Cohen's testimony about that 2015 meeting with Trump and Pecker.
The fact that they are asking for Michael Cohen after the onslaught he took is interesting, because that means that there isn't sort of unanimity on, like, we are not going to focus on what he said. We do not believe him. It is not useful. It is, to me, that has to be viewed as at least a potentially good sign that they are like, yes, he may need corroboration, but we want to hear what he has to say.
They're also asking.
And here is the thing, right? Of course, apply all the caveats here. But first instinct is that this is not welcome news for Trump or his team. Prosecutors spent a lot of their lengthy closing argument focusing on the value of Pecker's testimony. This is basically the roadmap that they asked jurors to follow. And if they thought that that road led nowhere, they'd likely not ask for more information on the matter. The fact that they want to, as even this Fox News guest is admitting, could mean that they're reading into that roadmap. And one last thing that I think everyone in the media should be doing while covering this trial is bookending coverage with a little segment I like to call Outside of the Courtroom. What was the other candidate for presidency doing? Aside from not having a jury deliberate on the potential criminality of his conduct, he was at a rally in which he laid bare the stark differences between both. And unlike Mr. Courtroom Siesta, was met with applause.
The Libertarian Party should nominate Trump for President of the United States. Whoa. That's nice. That's nice.
Hello, Philadelphia. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's good. It's good to be... It's good to be almost home. I just live down the road a little bit. The threat that Trump poses is greater in his second term than his first. It's clear that when he lost in 2020, something literally snapped in the sky. No, I'm serious. That's why January 6th happened, when he unleashed an insurrection. Now, he's running again, and he's clearly unhinged. He calls insurrectionists who stormed the Capitol patriots. Patriots. If reelected, he wants to pardon, quote, every one of them. Let me ask you, what do you think he would have done on January 6th if black Americans had stormed it? Think about this. What do you think would have happened if black Americans had stormed the Capitol? I don't think he'd be talking about pardon.
And as one of Biden's press advisors pointed out yesterday outside the court, while all eyes are on this trial and on Trump while he's sending out endless unhinged tweets attacking anyone and everyone in his wake, while most cameras are focused on him, the Biden camp has to be there too to remind the American people of what the Biden administration are actually doing for the American people.
Why did the Biden campaign decide to come here today?
Because you all are here. You've been incessantly covering this day in and day out, and we want to remind the American people ahead of the next debate, of the first debate on June 27th, of the unique, persistent, and growing threat that Donald Trump poses to the American people and to our democracy. So since you all are here, we're here communicating that message, as we will do day in, day out until the debate in Atlanta.
They're on the campaign trail while overseeing an economy that is soaring under the smokescreen of this trial.
You do it in a number of ways, right? It takes a relentlessness. That's what a campaign is all about. But you have to remind people of where we came from and where we are going and what the stakes are. We have to remind people of the historic record of accomplishment since this president took office. 15 million jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, the work that the president has done to lower costs for middle-class families, capping the cost of insulin, for example, at $35 for seniors. He's going to cap the cost of insulin for everybody in a second term, the $2,000 annual out-of-pocket cap for seniors on prescription drugs, the continued work that we have to do, but also making sure that people understand that everything Donald Trump is talking about doing would only worsen the gap between the super wealthy and the rest of us. He's talking about reinstating even more tax cuts for the ultra wealthy and corporations. We see him out on the stump promising big oil executives that he'll do whatever the hell they want if they cut checks to his campaign, while he then cuts our Social Security. So we have to make sure that people understand, A, what the record of accomplishment is from the president, the work that he continues to do, but also the damage that Donald Trump would do to middle-class families if he's able to regain power. And so that's what this campaign is going to relentlessly communicate from now until November.
With a record high NASDAQ, it closed above 17,000 for the first time ever.
Well, the NASDAQ, folks, hitting yet another all-time high.
Take a look at the NASDAQ. It's crossing 17,000 for the first time.
The tech-heavy index pierced the 17,000 mark for the first time ever right at the open. NASDAQ is on pace for its 12th all-time record high this year. And any gain will make the history books. So right now, with a 50-point jump here, we shall see.
Gas and grocery prices are falling. Bidenomics continues to work for the people.
We also took on the issue of debt, which makes so many people feel like they can never get ahead. Take, for example, medical debt. We are now making it so medical debt can no longer be included on your credit score. So that medical debt cannot impact a person's ability to get a car loan, an apartment lease, or a home loan.
And they should be made aware of this, as well as what is going on between Trump's courthouse.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.